Welcome everybody to season 3 of Flicks Fellas. Welcome back, fellas.
Woo!
I am your host, Joe, joined with my co-host, Kevin and James.
Hi.
Say hello.
Hi, Joe.
What it up?
Oh, I meant to say ciao, everybody, because I didn't end the last season by saying ciao, ciao. So I was going to start this one by doing it, and I didn't. So messed up again.
The one episode that you didn't say ciao, ciao.
The one episode.
You made it 2 seasons.
That's
doing
your
that
tagline,
every
dude.
single time.
I don't know if I did it in the beginning of season 1, but season 2, I definitely did it every episode except for the last one. But before we get into our first episode of season 3, I'm going to ask everyone to please take a second, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening on a podcast channel, to please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is the best way to help the show, and we're trying to grow our audience there. Today, we're looking at arguably one of the most controversial movies of 2021, the Netflix original film Don't Look Up, which was written and directed by the very talented Adam McKay, who is also known for directing Vice, The Big Short, and The Other Guys. This movie is filled with a star-studded cast led by Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio, with support from a long list of people, and I'm just going to rattle them off real quick. We have Meryl Streep, Kate Blanchett, Rob Morgan, Jonah Hill, Mark Rylance, Tyler Perry, Timothée Chalamet, Ron Perlman, Ariana Grande, and Kid Cudi. And there's still other ones, but those are like the big, hard-hitting movie poster names. So, as I said before, this is one of the most controversial movies because critics and fans alike can't decide whether they like it or dislike it. You know, everywhere you look, people either hate it or they love it. And I think you're going to see a little bit of that today in our podcast. Don't Look Up, at its core, is a political satire about an apocalyptic event that is guaranteed to doom the earth and everyone on it. In a very heavy-fisted way, this movie draws direct contrast to two crises that the world is currently facing: global warming and the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's get right on into our first reactions. Kevin is very eager to start this one, so take it away, Kev.
Yeah, I thought this movie stunk. I've told this to you guys multiple times because I didn't think we were going to talk about this movie on the podcast, but this movie was stinky, and it is super divided right now. Like, I see people talking online that they like it, that they don't like it. I just thought that it was a weak attempt at satire, and it wasn't very funny, and it was super on the nose with the point it was trying to make, and I just was not entertained. Like, and it was way too long. Like, way too long. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess, like, some of the performances were good in there. Like, Meryl Streep is just so good with everything she does. I'm not a huge J-Law fan. I don't know if that's a hot take or not.
That is hot. That's
She's
scorching
beloved.
hot.
I don't love her. And, like, Leo has gotten to the point as an actor where I'm just watching Leo on screen. I'm not watching his character. Although I thought he was good in this, playing the character, but I don't know. I just didn't love it, guys. It was not there.
Okay. James,
Yep.
shut him
Kev,
down.
I disagree. I think it was a good movie. I think it was fun. I think it was interesting. I think it's an interesting... I didn't think it was a bad satire. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was, especially because it's so topical on a few different, a few different levels. I think that it's definitely too long. Like, far, 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 far too long. They had too many subplots. You know what I mean? They gave you too many options, like, to take care of The Rock, And you're like... I'm like, okay, like, obviously, like, I know where this movie's going. Can we just take out one of these things and get us there 45 minutes quicker, But overall, I did enjoy I enjoyed there's a lot of 2.5-hour movies we watched that I'm, like, pulling my hair out. This one, I enjoyed it the whole time, It was a little cheesy. It definitely was a little, like, tongue-in-cheek, you know what I mean? Like, with some of the comments that went back and forth, but overall... good display of acting, entertaining movie, very good effects other than the weird CGI robots. I thought that was a little strange. But I had a really good time watching this one. Joey, what do you think?
So, for reference, this movie is only 2 hours and 18 minutes. So it's not
Right, it just
that...
just felt way too long. The pacing was so terrible.
Agreed. It felt very long. It's not ridiculously long for a movie, but did feel very long. I think that this movie, the beginning starts out strong. It's really entertaining. I think it's clearly heavily fisted in what it's trying to do. It's satire. It's not meant to be a serious drama by any means. However, I think in the middle, there are times when they like kind of lose themselves. I feel like if you're going to be a satire, every punch has to hit, and you can't try to like balance like drama, comedy, and there were some moments like that. So I think they did the satire well. There was personally some characters that I really loved, some characters that I hated, and I think it was meant to be like targeted towards the dumbest audience essentially, and be like, we're facing two major crises right now, like shut the fuck up and just pay attention. And like, it's not meant to be like, oh, well, what are they talking about, or artistic or artsy in any way. It's straight up like, this is an issue. This is what how our society is treating it, and what's going on. So there is some real political context there, and I think that was just the whole point.
Yeah, but the
was
movie sucked.
I disagree. I think, you know what, there was some really good, like Jim said, there's a lot of subpoints to it that probably could be cut or shortened, or just even some characters that could probably just be cut altogether. But
like Tim Chalamet.
I did think there was,
Like-
yes, 100%. Timothy Chalamet's character, get him out, no point to it. But it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I thought there was some good moments to it. And I don't want to spoil anything. I think we should.
I may have laughed at two things in that whole movie, and both were probably said by Timothy Chalamet.
Was it
So,
about the regular
like,
movie?
we
Wrong.
are in very different sides of this
Wrong.
because the rest of the movie fucking was not funny. But we'll get into that more. But there was nothing else funny in that movie.
So this is not a spoiler. This is a very subplot that doesn't really matter, that I just thought was hilarious and like probably the funniest part of the movie. The general charging them for the snacks and then the ongoing circle back to it wasn't
Funny.
amazing. It was so funny.
Wasn't funny.
It was
Not one
absolutely
time did I
hilarious.
laugh
It
at
was
that.
funny.
No,
every time they
every-
brought it up, I got even more mad that it was not funny at all.
It was the best.
It was.
Not funny.
I think they
The
said
gu-
it. I think they said it one too many times. But like the fact, like it was funny. I think the last time they should have said it is when they were in the office, like the Kate and Doctor Rob Morgan's character,
Mindy?
Doctor. I can't remember his
Oh.
last name. Teddy something. His character, when they're locked in the room, like when Leonardo DiCaprio is like a part of like the larger council, that should have been the last time they made that joke. But it was I thought it was hilarious. Like I was like,
Was never
it
funny.
was funny. It was funny, Kevin.
No.
You're objectively
false.
wrong. Ha-has were had by me and Joey. Therefore, you're wrong.
James, you laugh at
That is
everything.
true.
How can we trust you?
Hey,
I gotta say, that's a good point for Kevin, but I will say there were some really good moments here, and there was good acting, and you can't look at this at all with any sense of like realism of the fact that they're trying to be serious actors. They were great acting in a very satirical, funny, open your eyes type of way. A little too political at some points, and a little too on the nose of like mocking direct civilization, where I was like, okay,
yeah. Like
it doesn't. It's not fun when it
heavy-handed.
takes you out of the fantasy of the world and it brings you back to the reality. So like, I like that it was a different issue of this comet instead of an actual like pandemic or global warming, and it was just like the symbolism was all there, and I thought most of it was good. Sometimes I thought it was a little too heavy-handed. Let's get into our first reaction decisions. Kev, I think we all know where you're gonna go, but take us away.
Yeah, the general public needs to just avoid this movie like the fucking plague. But if you're really into movies and you're just like a movie nerd, like you obviously need to have an opinion on this movie because everybody's so split. So go watch this movie. But if you're just looking for something to watch on a Saturday night, do not watch this movie. Avoid it. Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling.
Don't look
So
up.
bad.
Don't look up.
This is arguably one of the worst movies we've watched on this podcast.
That is not
It
true.
was worse
Absolutely
than American.
false.
It was
absolutely
it
false.
was worse than American Pickle. 100%.
chance.
Arguably one of the worst.
Kevin,
No chance.
I don't even know if you watched the
Outside the Wire was better
Yeah,
than
it
this
was.
movie. No
Seriously,
spoilers to the next episode, but the next episode.
No,
better
it was
than
not.
this.
No, it was not, Kevin. No.
Yeah, leave, Kev, leave.
Yeah, you're wrong.
But,
you're wrong.
Not wrong.
All right.
Not wrong.
My first reaction.
Maybe a little wrong. That last take was a
My
hot take,
first.
so I'll take that one back.
My first reaction click play. This movie is a fun ride. It is a cool political satire. I think that I disagree with you, Kevin. I can disagree with you.
Both of those statements are so wrong. That it was a fun ride and that it was a good political satire. Both of those things are wrong.
It's a fun movie. Go watch it. It's definitely too long, but it's definitely a click play. Joey, what do you think?
Agreed. I think it's 30 minutes too long. It's not hard to watch. It is entertaining and funny, and I think that last booty scene was probably
Hell yeah.
icing on the cake, but I'm going to press click play. Kev looks confused.
Kev didn't see it.
Might
What
not
scene?
have watched the end credits scene on this one.
I did watch the end credit scene. That was not funny
Did
at
you watch
all.
all of the end credits scenes?
There was not two.
Anyway, there were two.
What?
There was two. I saw
There were
the second
two.
one.
Son of a
Yeah.
bitch.
Yeah, it
Are
wasn't
you
funny.
kidding me?
James.
None of that was funny. All
You're
of that
wrong.
was bad.
All right.
Okay, let's end this. You guys have made your statements. Before we get into our first ad, I would like to acknowledge that our Patreon page is now fully up and running. Officially, you can join our fan club. It is the best way to support the show if you enjoy this content and want to help us keep going. Some of the cool things that we're offering are patron recognition. We'll give you a shout out on the episode. You'll be getting exclusive content. We are going to be posting more exclusive content just for Patreon supporters. Some website recognition. Your name will be on our website forever and ever. And some private community contact. We have a Discord channel where you can talk with us, send us movie recommendations, tell us your thoughts about movies, and a lot more. So if you're interested in supporting the show, please consider supporting our Patreon page. Now, a quick word from one of our sponsors. Okay, and we are back. We are heated. We are divisive. This might be the most divisive we've ever been on a movie, and it might tear us apart. But let's start with the cast on this movie, because clearly massive lineup of characters and actors. Some of them nailed it. Some of them, I think we can all agree that some nailed it and some
Did
stunk. Kev, tell us your favorite
Who
character
nailed
and your
it and
least
who
favorite
stunk?
character. Yeah.
Okay.
Number one, number
So
two.
who nailed it? Meryl Streep nailed it. She was great. I thought Timothy Chalamet was funny, and I thought he played his character well. Leo was good. Jennifer Lawrence annoys me, and Jonah Hill, it felt too over the top. But I think that was his character being
Yeah,
written.
can I
I don't know. I thought the acting was fine. I just thought the rest of the movie was fucking duty.
Yeah, can I say so? I feel like I actually wrote a note down here. I feel like Jonah Hill has played this role before in like a few movies where he's like the annoying, way over the top guy. Like he was similar to this character in
This is the end.
This Is the End. He was this character in what's the other one he's in with Leonardo DiCaprio? The
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. He was like this in Django Unchained. It's like, you know what I mean? Like he's just like this kind of like annoying guy that like follows people around.
So I read that when he was deciding how to portray this character, he wanted it to be the Fire Festival of characters. But my question wasn't about the acting necessarily, because I think they all necessarily played their characters well, but there were some characters who you clearly didn't like. So James, why don't you tell us which characters you liked and which characters you didn't like, if there are any?
Yeah, I actually have been on a recent Hunger Games binge just during, Q-Teen 2 Electric Boogaloo. So like J-Law, I like as an actress. I didn't like her in this movie. I just thought her character was like I think at a point her character would like learn that like, hey, we kind of got to play the game a little bit here to like get anything done because it's political, and she just never got that. She just kind of gave up. Well, she never gave
But
up.
I think-
like, she would like boil over.
Isn't that the point?
So-
Because this is supposed to be a satire. Isn't that the point of her
Yeah,
character?
it's true. But I just feel like it was too ham-fisted. Like it was like one of those things that like I feel like at a point, especially like this highly intelligent like young woman who is like getting her PhD, like at some point would understand like a political climate to a point where, and they also said they were going to get them like some kind of media training, And I don't think she's wrong. Like obviously she's not supposed to be like Leonardo DiCaprio is like the voice of reason. Jennifer Lawrence is like pseudo the voice of reason, more of like another satire character. But like, I think that they like. I think they played into like the like trying to portray like the media is trying to portray her as crazy a little too much, and I didn't like that about her character. But like Leo, I liked. Jonah Hill, I really liked. Timothy Chalamet, I did like in his role. I just didn't think his role was great. Mark Rylance as the what's it called, like Jeff Bezos, like Steve Jobs guy, loved him.
No, again, not funny.
I thought it was good.
Like, there
I thought he was
nothing
good.
funny about that character.
I thought he was good. I don't think he was funny. I just thought he was like good in that role. Ron Perlman was like, I thought like those like it's just like the little side characters I thought were really funny. You know what I mean? Like because Ron Perlman was like. I like that everyone like he says something super like he says something like offensive like while he's on like live TV and like everybody turns on and he's like he's from a different generation. And it's like everybody just thinks that, you know? Like I thought that was a funny gag.
Funny enough, I disagree I think with almost all of your picks on who was good and who wasn't.
We're all disagreeing all the time.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is the most controversial film of 2021. I like Jennifer Lawrence's character. I think she was designed to be that like middle of the road American who is just like fed up with the political bullshit. That's what I think her character was supposed to be. And then I think Leonardo DiCaprio's character was supposed to be the kind of the politician of the middle America. People were like, I can see both sides. Oh, I don't know which way to go. Like, I really honestly didn't like his character. I didn't love his performance in it. I thought Jennifer Lawrence actually was better. Hated with a passion Mark Rylance's character.
Why?
It was so heavy-fisted and like not funny. It
I
was
don't think
just
it was
so
funny.
cliche. There was nothing.
This whole movie was
No, but
heavy-fisted and not
It
funny.
was. Agree. There was a lot of heavy-fisted, but it wasn't funny. Like his character just fell so flat and like predictable at every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some of the other characters, at least there was like hope that they might do something different or say something different. Whereas Mark Rylance's character was just constantly like big tech media. I want to make money. Screw.
Yeah. It was definitely not
Greater
like,
good.
His lines weren't super convincing, and I honestly, maybe it's just I have like rose-colored glasses for Mark Rylance for his role in Ready Player One, and he's in like kind of like a similar role, but like the bad version. So it could be me being a little biased. Like I don't necessarily think he killed the role, you know.
Yeah. And then to disagree with Kevin, I really didn't like Tyler Perry or Cate Blanchett's characters. Cate Blanchett I didn't mind as much because I thought she was supposed to be like the kind of Kardashian-esque character who is very into her self-image and not into like whatever, like doesn't really care about other people's opinions that are lesser than her.
Yeah.
But Tyler Perry's character I really was just like did not enjoy.
Yeah.
Ron Perlman I did like. I thought it was funny that kind of like oh, it's a different generation. Like that's another like life lesson or societal point that we like are talking about constantly. Like, oh, this person grew up in a different generation. It was normal to kiss people hello and hug them at workplace, and like it's just a lot. There was a lot of societal topics covered in this movie, which I thought was good. I didn't think it was like too controversial, and it was funny, but I can see why people don't like it because of that as well.
I do have one point. I don't want to like jump away from the characters, Kevin or Joe, if you have anything else, but I have one very specific point that I think I have like insight on that you guys might not have insight on.
Okay, dickhead.
Right. No, it's like, and I'll explain it in a second.
Hey, I'm going to talk about something that I know everything about, and you guys have no
You're right.
clue about, which you're probably right, but you sound like an asshole.
Excuse me, my
It's
wealth.
like when I tell you about my film degree.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm so smart.
No, so I'm not smart. But something like in the very beginning of the movie when they rush Randall or like Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence like on that plane to the White House, right? Like it's like go, you gotta go, and then they wait an entire day in a waiting room. Like that is so like I have previously in some sense worked with the government before, and this is not every government customer I've worked with, but the hurry up and wait is so true. Like it's like so accurate where it's like, you gotta be here. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. And then stuff will just wait for months. And you're just like, wait, why are we dying?
Everything is
for that?
urgent
Yeah.
until it's not.
Exactly. It's like, it's a fire until it's not, you know? And then people are like, nah, we'll hit it next year, you know? And I'm just like, I thought that was so funny because it's like such a it's obviously a critique on the government, but like it's true, like it to some extent, not with everybody, but I thought it was very funny.
This movie was not funny nor entertaining.
Kevin,
I
tell us
stand
one more
my
time.
ground.
Tell us
I don't
one
get
more
it.
time.
I don't get.
You're just not
like,
educated. It's okay.
Yeah, you just gotta listen.
I
to
got
me
the
before.
movie. It's hard to not understand the movie because it's very straightforward, but it just was not entertaining. It was way too like
So
on
for
the nose. I don't know. How is that entertaining?
we focus here on streaming service original films, which, in the grand scheme of the cinematic world, are typically lesser quality movies than theatrical movies or big studio productions. This, to me, was a better Netflix comedy than almost any Netflix comedy I've ever seen.
Stop. If you are gonna get Adam McKay and this fucking cast and throw this budget, Joe, because I don't want to look up the Metascore. Look up the budget for this fucking movie. If you're throwing this much money at this movie, you can no longer give it the excuse of, oh, it's a streaming service movie, so you gotta give it a little something. Because there are a lot of like great streaming movies that don't have this budget. And, you know, there are some things that are bad about it, and you say, okay, it's just a streaming movie. Like, obviously, it's not going to be fucking, like, Sound of Metal, which is still a streaming movie. It's not going to be, like, this work of art, but it's going to be good for what it is. You can't give that excuse to this movie. This movie has so much... has such a high standard to be good because of everybody in it and who's directing it and everyone behind it. And then it fucking fell so flat and was so stupid that, like, you can't give it that
So
excuse.
what specifically, Kevin? Because you're coming in with heat. Like, I know that there's, like, specific
Yeah.
points in the movie where you're like, oh, gag.
Kevin's coming in like a meteor.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
I'm
really.
coming in with heat now, not because you guys are like, because I'm so mad at you guys. I'm so disappointed with you guys and your opinions. I'm mad that your opinion is different
I'm
than
not
mine.
mad. I'm
Um,
just disappointed, guys.
But no, I just like don't get like the movie. Granted, was not like the worst movie we've ever watched. But
Okay,
it
coming from the
wasn't
guy who
good.
just said it was the worst movie we've ever
Oh my
watched
God.
on this
Joey,
podcast.
no. We're walking him in.
How
We're
can we
walking
ever
him
trust
in.
anything you say? How can we ever trust anything you ever say, Kevin? Changing your mind so flippy floppy.
It is down there. It is down there. But it's not like terrible. It just like is not a great movie. And you guys are making it out to be like, oh, like it's really good. Like go watch it. And I'm like, fucking like, what are they talking about? I feel like I'm going crazy. I feel like the people in the movie who are like look up, and everyone's like, don't look up. You guys are the don't look up guys.
You guys don't want to look
we're
up.
the-
Because
look
you're
up
the
and
crazy
watch.
ones. Because
You're
you're the
the
fucking
dumb-
crazy ones. You're the fucking crazy ones. Not me. You.
Don't look up.
But that's why I'm getting heated, not because I feel so strongly about this movie, because it really wasn't good, and you guys think
There were
it's
some
good.
No,
dumb.
And
let
your
me say
opinions
this.
are dead
Let me-
fucking wrong.
There was
Let
some-
me say this.
Go ahead.
I can understand why people wouldn't like this movie. I can understand it's not everyone's cup of tea. The style, the format, the acting, the writing. I do think this is a good production movie. I think there's a good cast that executes all of their roles, minus Mark Rylance, effectively.
Sorry, Mark.
So whether you don't like the writing, you can still. Sorry, Mike, I'm not a fan right now. But even if you like dislike the writing style, the acting can save it. Or if you don't like the act, like I think that this is a good production, and I do think there's a good commentary on today's social climate that makes it entertaining. Whatever side of the aisle you're on, you will see both sides being made fun of and overdramatic. Like, okay, there's clear hatred towards Trump and his nepotism of hiring his family as relatives in his big rallies. And then there's also the clear side of like the more liberal media who's like, let's solve this problem by having a concert. Like they poke fun at both sides. And I think it does meet in the middle. I think it's a little bit more liberal than, conservative.
Well, I think
friendly.
it's very hard showing the fact that like it's definitely pushing a more like listen to the science, you know what I mean? Like whatever. Like it's definitely
Yes.
pushing that agenda much more than it's pushing because like that's the whole thing is like I love the point in the movie when they have the whole like there's the two movements, right? And they're like, look up, don't look up. And there's like the crowd of people at the rally and they're like, don't look up, don't look up. And then there's that one fucking dumb guy who's like, what's that? It's like,
But they do make fun of like mainstream media in the sense that they don't cover things like efficiently and fairly
Yeah.
and like with priority. Like they do attack. I do think they do attack both sides
yeah.
fairly accurately.
Kevin's dying.
I need a clip of Kevin's face right now.
Here's the deal with this movie, okay? And this might be one of the last things I say on this episode because I have nothing else to say. All right. Joe said, I don't know how you don't like this movie. This movie, okay, is like the comedian that laughs at his own jokes. It's like what Jimmy Fallon is to comedy, this movie is to satire. Like, it is so like, look what we did, huh? Look, this is supposed to be Trump. Look, this
Yeah.
is supposed to be the world's reaction to, and they're doing that to you. And you're like, yes, I get it, but do something that's more subtle and funny that I make that connection, not you just throwing it in my face
Throwing
and
it in my
telling me to
face.
laugh at it. That's my problem with this fucking movie.
And I 100% get that, but I think that there are a lot of people out there who don't see the world from that middle point of view and see like the irony in things, and they don't see the like problems with like hiring your children to be your political advisors who also have no like there's just a straight up like punch to the face here for everybody that I think is entertaining.
Yes.
And to be fair, when I turned this movie on, I had no idea it was a comedy. I didn't look up anything other than the cast, and I was like, oh, this is a great dramatic acting cast. Like, this will probably be a good drama. And then instantly I was like, oh no, it's a comedy. Oh, it's like within a couple seconds, you're like, oh, this is punching me in the face with modern day, problems. I also don't think this is going to be a movie that will have any relevance in 5 years. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
maybe even 2 years. I think it's going to be one of those movies where it's like, wow, like look at all these references that they're making that nobody has talked about in years. If you try to watch this back,
Dude, I'm telling you, this
It's-
time next
it's
year,
Oscar bait.
it's not Oscar
It is.
bait. There's no way.
100%.
Oh
This
my
movie
God,
is Oscar
there's
bait.
no
way.
This movie
It's
is
not that
begging
good.
for a fucking
The
Oscar.
only thing- the
yes,
only thing
no,
good-
no,
wait, can I-
no,
No, it
it's
actually
not
is
that good,
being-
James. Hold on. You're missing my point. It's not like Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
It's Oscar bait. Like they made this movie to get an Oscar. They did everything in mind just for the Academy so they can win an Oscar. That's also annoying.
So like, I feel like Kevin, the way you're criticizing this movie is from the point of like, is it actually a good movie, right? Like when I look at a movie, I feel like I kind of take, and like obviously people listening would know, of the three of us, I feel like I'm the most like if it entertains me, I like the movie. You know what I mean? It's like very easy to sell me on a movie.
Except you hate Transformers.
Except I hate
but we won't
Transformers,
get
and we
into
still
that
haven't
now.
gotten into that. It's not a good movie. Like it's not like oh my god, like you got to see it. It's worth an Oscar, but whatever. Like as like a standalone piece, it is too long, but it was entertaining. It didn't lose me ever. And there's movies that like have lost me halfway through and brought me back that I've clicked play on because it brought me back. But this one never lost me.
see, this
But
one
I
did
feel
lose
like-
me for a minute. It was very long, and there was a point where nothing. I felt like the story wasn't progressing for a while because it was just a lot of like, they're not listening to me. Oh, she's still yelling type of thing. And then I was like, okay, like we established this, let's move on. And it wasn't moving on. That's when it did lose me. And then once the doomsday started to like approach, it was like, okay, we're back into this. Let's see what happens.
But I have to go back to James's point of like just like liking a movie just for its entertainment value. I feel like I look at it more like you have to, when you judge a movie or like if you're critiquing a movie, you critique the movie for what it's trying to be. And like we watch The Old Guard. We loved The Old
Yes.
Guard. and we liked it for what it was trying to be. It did what it was trying to do. This movie was trying to be this big drama comedy fucking satire, and I don't think it did it well.
Yeah.
So while I look at movies the same way as you do, did it entertain me for what it's trying to do? The answer was a fat no for me on this one.
Yeah.
But I think I do the same thing. I just think we valued it
Yeah.
differently.
I honestly think they could have gone way edgier with this movie that they didn't. Like, they could have leaned in a little more and like made it a little more cynical. Like, I like that they kept it light, but I feel like if like they went a little more subtle and a little more cynical, it would have been like, it would have maybe evoked emotion that would have gotten it a better rating from at least Kevin.
So I have another question for you guys.
Yeah.
Because this movie's been in my cousin's group chat for 2 weeks now, just everyone blowing up with
Mm-hmm.
why we hate it and why we love it. And what do you think this was more made about? Global warming or the pandemic?
global
I think
warming.
it's global warming. Yeah.
I think they pull from Trump's handling of the pandemic for the inspiration of the president. Obviously, even though there's probably arguments to be made that our current government is pulling shit like that for election purposes or midterm elections. But besides the point, I think it's definitely more geared towards global warming, something that we have time to start to make a change, and like people are reluctant to do that, even though all the signs point to like shit's gonna go
Doomsday.
bad at some point.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely more aimed towards global warming, and then it just worked out that there was a fucking global pandemic for the past 2 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of little like I actually took a lot of notes on this movie, and because like there was a lot of little quips that I was like, that's funny. I want to talk about that in the show. The Chris Evans being literally there just to make fun of people that you're like, I just don't want to make a choice. I just don't want it to be political. They're like, I don't want to look up or down. Like, and he's got like the pin that's got 2 arrows.
That was fun. I did.
And I was just like, he's like, let's just watch the movie. Like, that's what the movie's for everyone, you know? Like, and I'm just like,
I think we've
talked about it.
nobody's made any progress on
I have one,
changing each other's minds.
I have one more point.
James has one more point. Why don't you tell us your one more point, James?
Kevin, what was your favorite quote from this movie?
Timothy Chalamet saying that thing about fingerling potatoes.
Yes.
When they're just in the grocery store and he's like, I fucking love fingerling
Yeah,
potatoes.
he's like,
I'll agree with you that I liked Timothy Chalamet's character. I don't think he was necessary.
No,
that
he
was my
wasn't.
argument, was that they just wanted to have more celebrity power in this, and they were like, well, who could we get to do a couple lines? And
I feel
that's
like
what I didn't like about it.
I feel like
but,
in post-production, like they finished the movie and then Tim Chalamet is like, hey, can I be in the movie? And then they're like, yeah, I mean, sure, you're really popular and we want more popular people in the movie.
Totally, yeah. This film fucking sucked.
Kevin's just a hater, bro.
So let's do a little plot twist here. We're not going to do Metacritic this
What?
week.
What?
Joey's
Give
just
me
changing
Rotten
up.
Tomato. I want Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter, and the audience scores.
Oh, God.
Oh, geez. That's tough for this one. Can I go first?
Yeah, please.
Tomato meter,
Thermometer.
81%. And then audience score, 62.
What? You're insane. You're an insane person. Have you ever looked at Rotten Tomatoes?
Yes. I think it's going to be like two different, totally different
I agree with
scores.
you, but I'm going absolutely reverse. I think the tomato meter score is like a 48. I think the person or like the dumb fucking stupid audience score is like an 88.
Wait, is the tomato score critic
Yes.
or the tomato score is critics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You put that
I stick
higher.
with mine.
You put that higher than the audience score.
Yeah, the audience is going to like this less than the critics did.
I will say this. The audience score is actually higher. So I think, James, you're there. The tomato meter is a 56%, and the audience
Told
scores
you.
a 77%.
I told you this movie fucking sucked.
Your boy, we know
But you
tomatoes.
guessed completely wrong.
I know tomatoes.
I feel like James looked it up.
I didn't.
He
I
was
feel like
still
he saw
very
it.
far off.
He was
He
very
just
I was
far
like,
off,
knew
but I think
six
he
off
made up
for the
an answer.
thermometer.
He made it. He looked. He definitely looked.
You were far.
Yeah. Kevin's like, you
Okay,
cheated.
let's- Do we even need to do double downs?
don't think we
think
do.
we need
What was the
to for
Metacritic?
this-
Do you have it right there?
I'll pull it up.
Just out of interest.
Yeah.
Joey, are you sticking with
Metascore
me?
was a 50.
Yeah. See, this movie stunk.
Metacritic sucks,
Everyone
dude.
agrees. It's
50 is pretty high for Metascore.
Yeah.
If you,
It's still
They
stunk.
gave
It's less than
Unforgivable a
it's less
40.
than the fucking American Pickle,
Yeah,
bro.
no, it's not. American Pickle had like a 42, I thought.
No, I think it was
had like a
higher. I think it was 50.
It was like weirdly high.
Hold on, I'll look it up.
Unforgivable had a 40, so I don't trust.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously don't trust Metacritic score on
Joey.
this game. in this
Metacritic
podcast.
for American Pickle was a 58, so this movie is
This
worse
movie-
than American Pickle.
Yikes! No way.
You know what's funny? So we just recently posted our bracket competition, and we had American Pickle against Things Heard and Seen, and I was like, wow. Looking
American
back,
Pickle is better.
I actually would
way.
choose to watch American Pickle
Oh.
over Things Heard and
Yes.
Seen again.
I would definitely rewatch
Guys,
American
you're
Pickle over
insane.
things.
You're
I've seen.
insane. Things heard.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
No,
Wait,
we're
let's-
not.
wait, no, you're
no,
right.
it's-
You're absolutely right. I thought things heard and seen. I got that one with confused with the Amy Adams one. What's it called?
No,
Oh,
yeah,
Woman
no.
in the Window.
That
Yeah.
no,
That
I
is-
definitely watched the Amy Adams one
Yes,
first, but
yes,
things
you're
heard
right.
and seen.
You're
Stunk.
right. You're right. I
Yeah.
recognize. I fucked it up.
Anyway,
Okay. Let's double down real quick, get this over with, and end this podcast.
Click play.
scroll.
Right. Okay, that was pretty clear. I'm gonna continue clicking play. I think this is worth a watch under the right circumstances and conditions, and with the right mindset, because you guys are both coming in hot with your opinions, and I think you need to both cool it down a little bit. So
I'm hot because James's opinion sucks.
I'm hot because fuck you, Kevin.
Pretty much what I just said.
good job, guys. Good job. Before we go, please once again consider subscribing to our YouTube channel because it is our easiest way to grow our show and help us reach larger audiences. You can follow us on Instagram at flicks_fellas for more daily content, clips, and different interactive activities. We are currently running a bracket for our best movie that we've watched between season 1 and 2. You could DM us. You can, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please consider rating and leaving us a review. If we find a funny review, we may read it out on the show. You know, that's fun to do.
Yeah.
And
Comment on our videos.
Consider-
we talk about them all the time. On
comment
the show.
on our videos. We always respond. Whether you comment something stupid or funny or mean, we will respond. So if you want to talk to us, that's the best way to get involved. Anything else you guys want to say before we close out our first episode of season 3?
James's opinions suck.
Glad to be back, even though Kevin's a dickhead. Season 3, let's go.
Love it. Let's go. Okay. Ciao, ciao for now, everybody. Say bye,
Oh, goodbye. I'm prepping for the next episode already.
James.
Goodbye.
Okay.
God.